You dream of a life where money flows easily, where every bill is paid without worry, where opportunities appear before you as if drawn by your very presence. Imagine waking each morning with the calm certainty that wealth is already moving toward you, that success is not a distant hope but a daily reality. This is not a fantasy, my friend. It is a discipline. There is a way to train your mind so completely that riches cannot help but be drawn to you. The men I studied, Carnegie, Edison, Ford, Rockefeller, each began with nothing. Yet by commanding their thoughts, they commanded their fortunes. If you will stay with me until the end of this message, you will discover how to unlock the same power within yourself. Not vague inspiration, but exact principles, proven and tested, that turn desire into money, doubt into faith, and plans into empires. But understand this, one moment of drifting, and you may miss the very step that was meant to change your destiny. So listen carefully, because what you are about to hear has the power to move you from scarcity to abundance, from hesitation to command, from wishing for wealth to attracting it without limit. And it all begins with the first law of riches, the one secret that separates the man who drifts from the man who builds a fortune. Every fortune begins with one thing, burning desire. Not a passing wish, not a faint hope, but a hunger so strong it refuses to be ignored. Weak wants will produce weak results, but a definite, consuming desire becomes the spark that ignites the mind into action. Most men say they want wealth, yet they drift. They speak of riches, but act on doubt. They imagine comfort, yet live in hesitation. And life gives them exactly what they have commanded: fear, limitation, lack. But the man with desire speaks differently. He says not, "I wish," but "I will." He writes it, he speaks it, he feels it until every fiber of his being expects wealth to arrive. Consider Edwin C. Barnes, a man with no money, no connections, no standing. He made a decision that he would become the business partner of Thomas Edison. No one believed him. He boarded a freight train with no ticket, walked into Edison's office uninvited, and declared his purpose. Edison later said, "There was something in his eyes that told me he would not leave until he had what he came for." Years passed before Barnes was given his chance. But when the opportunity arrived, he seized it with such certainty that it transformed him from a penniless drifter into Edison's trusted partner and eventually into a wealthy man. His riches did not come from luck. They came from desire so definite that it created its own opportunity. Now, let me ask you plainly, do you have that kind of desire? Or are you still entertaining vague hopes that wealth will one day come your way? For until you decide, nothing will move. But desire alone is not enough. Many men burn with longing, yet never taste success. Why? Because desire must be joined with something else, a hidden force that transforms thought into reality. And without it, even the strongest desire dies in the shadows. That force is faith. Desire is the spark, but faith is the flame. Faith is the invisible bridge between thought and reality, the force that converts the picture in your mind into the fortune in your hand. Without it, desire remains a dream. With it, desire becomes destiny. Most men wait to believe until they see results. They say, "When I have the money, then I will feel certain." But the law of success is the opposite. You must believe first, and then you shall see. The men I studied all lived by this truth. Charles Schwab, a man with no fortune and no title, stood before Andrew Carnegie and spoke with such conviction, such faith in his ability, that Carnegie entrusted him with the creation of United States Steel. That decision created a $600 million empire. Schwab had no proof he could succeed. What he had was faith. But faith does not appear by accident. It is built. It is forged by repetition. When you speak your goal aloud every morning and every night, when you picture the wealth as already yours, when you refuse to let doubt sit in your mind for a single moment, your subconscious begins to accept your words as fact. And once it does, it moves every circumstance, every opportunity, and every resource into place to match the identity you have claimed. Understand this clearly. The world does not give you what you wish for. It gives you what you are certain of. If you speak like a beggar, life will treat you as one. If you speak like a commander, life will obey. So, I ask you, what are you declaring each day? Are you telling yourself stories of limitation, or are you affirming your wealth with unshakable faith? For every word you speak is a seed, and faith is the water that makes it grow. But even faith, as powerful as it is, must be directed. A man may believe strongly, yet without a definite plan, his energy is scattered and his riches remain out of reach. Faith needs a target, and that target is precision. Faith without direction is like fire without wood. It burns bright for a moment, then fades into smoke. To turn desire and faith into riches, you must give them a plan, a blueprint so exact that your mind and your actions cannot mistake the goal. Riches do not respond to vague hopes. If you say, "I want more money," life will hand you $1 and call it done. But when you fix in your mind the exact amount you demand, when you decide precisely what you will give in return, when you set a definite date, create a written plan, and repeat it daily until it becomes law in your mind, then riches begin to move toward you with certainty. This is not theory. Rockefeller became the wealthiest man of his age, not because he was lucky, but because he practiced discipline in every detail. He kept ledgers, tracked every cent, and knew with exactness where his fortune was going. Andrew Carnegie did the same, surrounding himself with a mastermind alliance of men who specialized in every area of his empire. He did not leave wealth to chance. He built it with plans so clear they became inevitable. Ask yourself now, have you written your desire? Have you declared the exact sum, the exact service, the exact date by which you will achieve it? Or are you still drifting in vague hopes, waiting for wealth to appear without command? The man who fails to plan is already planning to fail. But I must warn you, even the best plans crumble if you allow fear to sit at your table. You may have desire, you may have faith, you may even have a definite plan. But if fear rules your decisions, your riches will vanish before they ever arrive. And so we must face the enemy that has destroyed more fortunes than poverty itself, fear. Fear is the silent thief of fortune. It leaves no scar, yet it paralyzes men more completely than chains. You cannot see it, but you can feel it. The hesitation before you act, the doubt whispering, "What if I fail?" The voice of poverty that keeps men small when they were born to be great. Of all the forces that block wealth, none is more dangerous than fear. It does not strike in a single blow. Instead, it seeps in quietly, convincing you to settle, persuading you to delay, and disguising its poison as safety. It says, "Be careful. Wait until you are ready. Better to play it safe." And so men postpone their dreams until the fire inside them dies. There are 6 great fears that lurk in the minds of men, but 3 of them rule over nearly every failure I have ever witnessed: the fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, and the fear of ill health. Each of these fears alone has destroyed countless fortunes. The fear of poverty makes men slaves to their jobs. They cling to security instead of building freedom. They lower their price, remain silent when they should speak, and beg for scraps when they were born to command. The fear of criticism silences ideas before they are ever spoken. A man says to himself, "What will they think of me?" And with that one thought, his dream remains buried. The fear of ill health robs a man of energy before he has even taken his first step, keeping him focused on weakness instead of creation. But here is the truth. Fear is not real. It is an illusion you have agreed to believe. It has no life of its own. It is a ghost that feeds only on the attention you give it. When you act in spite of fear, it withers. When you speak your purpose aloud while fear hisses in the dark, it disappears. When you walk boldly forward, fear cannot follow. Every man I studied felt fear. Do not think they were immune. Andrew Carnegie felt it, Henry Ford felt it, Thomas Edison felt it, but they refused to obey it. When fear whispered, "You may fail," they replied, "Then I shall fail forward, but I will not retreat." And in time, fear lost its grip, and fortune took its place. I recall a man who came to me broken in spirit. His business had collapsed, his credit was ruined, his friends had turned away. He confessed that he was paralyzed by fear, unable to move, unable to try again. I gave him one instruction. I told him, "Burn the bridges behind you. Declare that you will not return to the life you have known. Write your purpose. Speak it daily. Act on it immediately." Within 2 years, that man had not only recovered, he had multiplied his wealth beyond what he had lost. He was no more gifted than the rest. His only advantage was that he refused to let fear make his decisions. And so I must challenge you. Write your fears down plainly so they cannot hide. Do not let them whisper in the shadows of your mind. Name them. Then, next to each, write the action you will take in spite of it. If you fear rejection, speak your idea anyway. If you fear failure, launch your plan anyway. If you fear poverty, demand wealth of life anyway. Each action in the face of fear chips away at its power until it collapses. Understand this: fear does not die all at once. It will try to return. It will knock on your door again and again, disguised as caution, disguised as reason, disguised as the voice of common sense. But the man who acts boldly starves fear each day, until finally, fear is nothing more than a memory. Remember, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is acting while fear screams at you to stop. Every time you move forward in spite of it, you weaken it. Every time you choose faith over hesitation, you starve it. Every time you take bold action, you prove that fear never had power, except the power you surrendered to it. So I ask you now, will you allow fear to dictate your future? Or will you stand as master of your own mind, declaring, "I was born to be rich, I refuse to bow to fear, I command life to deliver what I desire"? But even once fear is conquered, a question remains. How do you ensure you never drift back into hesitation? How do you carry your progress forward when emotion fades, when willpower weakens, when inspiration runs dry? That is when a greater law takes over. A law that transforms your repeated thoughts and actions into unshakable momentum. It is the law that makes wealth inevitable once it is set in motion. It is called the law of habit. Once fear has been faced, something remarkable happens. You discover that your greatest enemy was never the world outside of you, it was the patterns within your own mind. And when you take command of those patterns, wealth becomes not just possible, but inevitable. I call this power the cosmic habit force. It is the invisible law that fixes your repeated thoughts and actions into permanent habits, carrying you forward without effort. Habit is the silent driver of every fortune, and it is also the jailer of every failure. What you repeat becomes who you are. Think of the small routines of your life. You do not relearn how to tie your shoes each morning. You do not struggle to remember how to read or write. These things are automatic because habit has written them into your very being, and so it is with wealth or poverty. The man who daily repeats the thoughts of lack, the words of limitation, the actions of hesitation, soon finds that poverty has become his habit. The man who daily repeats the thoughts of wealth, the affirmations of purpose, the actions of discipline, finds that riches are drawn to him as naturally as the sun rises in the east. Thomas Edison understood this. He did not create the electric light in a single burst of inspiration. He failed more than 10,000 times. But persistence, habit, carried him through each failure until the light was born. He did not rely on luck, nor on sudden genius. He relied on the daily habit of persistence until the result became inevitable. You must do the same. Begin by making success a daily ritual. Each morning, before the world intrudes, read your written statement of desire. Speak it aloud with feeling. Picture it in your mind as if it were already yours. At night, do the same, so your subconscious continues to work as you sleep. Track your progress with discipline. Guard your mouth against words of failure. Redirect drifting thoughts back to your purpose the moment they appear. Do this long enough, and wealth becomes less of a goal and more of a reflex. Habit takes over, discipline becomes automatic, faith becomes second nature, and the man who once struggled for consistency becomes unstoppable. But understand this clearly: habit is not neutral. It will either carry you to riches or drag you into poverty. It obeys only what you feed it. If you repeat weakness, you will become weak. If you repeat doubt, you will become doubtful. But if you repeat strength, certainty, and action, habit will engrave these qualities into your very soul. The wealthy men I studied did not wait for motivation. They built routines so powerful that even on the days they felt weak, their habits carried them forward. And soon, wealth became less of a chase and more of an identity. So I ask you, what habits are you building today? Are you allowing fear and hesitation to write themselves into your life? Or are you training your mind with daily rituals that make wealth your default state? Because when habit is mastered, wealth becomes automatic. But there is something even greater than habit. Something that makes wealth more than money, that turns riches into freedom, into legacy, into power that outlives you. That is where we go next. When you master desire, faith, planning, courage, and habit, riches begin to flow. But here is a truth most men never learn. Wealth is more than money. Money is only the beginning. The real reward is freedom, purpose, and legacy. What good is a fortune if it buys nothing but comfort? True wealth gives you time. It gives you the power to live by choice instead of necessity. It gives you the ability to take risks without fear, to fund dreams that once seemed impossible, and to create opportunities not only for yourself but for others. The greatest men of industry understood this. Rockefeller built hospitals and universities. Carnegie filled cities with libraries, leaving behind knowledge that would outlive him by generations. These men did not hoard wealth. They directed it. They saw riches not as an end, but as a tool, a servant of purpose. You must see it the same way. When money is your master, it enslaves you. But when you become its master, money becomes a lever that moves the world. You were not born to merely pay bills and survive. You were born to create, to build, to lift others, to leave behind a mark that cannot be erased. Imagine yourself living in abundance so great that you no longer think of survival. Imagine giving without hesitation, building without fear, creating without limit. Imagine knowing that your fortune will not end with you, but will ripple through families, communities, and generations yet unborn. This is the true meaning of unlimited wealth. It is not only in the bank account, it is in the freedom to design your life and the power to multiply that freedom in others. Money, when guided by purpose, becomes more than numbers. It becomes destiny. But there is still one final piece, a conclusion that ties every law together into a single path. For if you remember nothing else, you must remember this. Now you see the path. Desire is the spark. Faith is the flame. Plans give it structure. Courage destroys fear. Habit carries you forward, and purpose transforms money into freedom. These are not theories, they are laws. They have lifted men from obscurity to greatness, and they will lift you if you act on them. But here is the truth. None of this matters unless you decide. Most men will hear these words and nod in agreement, then return to drifting. They will let fear speak louder than faith. They will delay their plans. They will wait for motivation, and life will reward them with the poverty they commanded. Do not be that man. Be the one who acts. Be the one who writes his desire tonight, speaks it aloud tomorrow morning, builds his plan, forms his habit, and refuses to let fear sit at his table. Be the one who demands riches of life and accepts nothing less. Say these words with me now. I was born to be rich. I command wealth. I walk in abundance. My thoughts attract riches. My actions create them, my habits secure them, and my purpose directs them. Repeat it until your bones believe it. Repeat it until your subconscious accepts it as law. Repeat it until wealth becomes not something you chase, but something you embody. This is the final truth. Success is not given, it is created. Wealth is not inherited, it is commanded. And your destiny is not written by chance, it is written by you. So make the decision now, this very moment. Stop drifting. Stop hesitating. Stop waiting for permission. Train your mind to attract unlimited wealth, and it will obey. Your life, your fortune, your legacy, they are waiting.